FM 94, The Dark. It is that time again. It's time to get to know a band that we play here on The Dark. And tonight I am talking with Colin from the band Slaves. And of course, their latest song, by the way, is called Patience is a Virtue. Colin, first of all, thanks so much for joining me. And how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Good. Just back at home. Just got off tour, and so we're relaxing a little bit.
Yeah, you just mentioned you were just getting off a tour. Talk about the tour. What was the recent tour that you were on?
It was our album release tour for the album Beautiful Death. It was a headliner of ours, and we had Kyle Lucas opening it up for us. He's one of our good friends who does like some rapping, and he's on actually a couple of our albums. And then we had Dayshell next up. They're one of my favorite bands in the scene right now. And Ghost Town was a direct support for us.
Awesome. And you mentioned, obviously, this was kind of kicking off the new album, which came out earlier this year. Let's before we get into the album and that, I want to talk about the band Slaves and how it really all came about. Give us the history, Colin, of this band.
Okay, yeah. So the band came about... in 2014, I believe, me and Johnny were actually kind of living together, kind of not. We were both in Sacramento, and he was between houses. So, and I think his girlfriend at the time was just moving up to Sacramento from LA. So he was, like I said, in between houses, and he was staying at my house a lot. We were friends for like a couple years before that, and he decided he wanted to start a band, and I played bass and guitar, and he needed the bass player, so he asked me to join. And then he and a management we were on at the time, Artery, picked out just not random, but people from the industry that they knew, the music industry, and formed the band. And at the time, it was Ty, Chris Kim, me, and Alex Lyman, and Johnny, of course. And then throughout the years, people have been weeded out. People, have left for their own reasons, and we just kind of, instead of just randomly picking people from the industry that we kind of knew, over the years we brought people in the band that, we knew were going to have good personalities, good characteristics, work hard, get along with everybody, and we've refined the band to what it is now, which is me, Weston, and we just added a new member and Johnny. So those are the official members right now.
That's cool. That's cool. Obviously, you mentioned you went through a lot of different people in this band prior to where you are today. And, of course, sometimes people try to steer you in one direction. But in reality, you kind of went old school, just finding some friends, some chemistry that actually worked. And it has now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's actually We've had a couple of members coming in and out, and that was mostly like touring members. All of our official members really, they all left at one time, and that was like the dark times of Slaves. That was when none of us were getting along. We were toured for 3 years straight, pretty much without a break, in a crappy little van. And at one point, everything just kind of crashed down, and everybody left besides me and Johnny. And I think at that moment is when we knew that, okay, we need to just completely rebuild this band and make it like a Slaves 2.0, record a record and write a record that we had a little bit more freedom with. Because our first two albums, Alex Simon wrote everything, all the guitar, everything. The instruments, pretty much the only thing he didn't write was the lyrics and melodies. And he kind of wouldn't let, it was kind of his thing, his baby, his band, and wouldn't really let us have any creative freedom. So this time, when he left with everybody, it was an opportunity. I saw an opportunity to like take the band in a different direction, and one of the big things were if we're going to bring people into the band now, we're going to make sure that they are, they're going to get along with it. We're not just going to right away bring somebody in the band. We're going to tour with them a little bit. They're going to be our personal friends, just people I know that have the personalities that we can vibe with, and not too strong of personalities, because at one point in our band we just all had crazy strong personalities, and that could be problematic when you're in a band.
Yeah, a lot of alphas don't work too well, do they? A lot of alphas don't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one thing I did go back, because actually I found out about your band when I'd Rather See Your Star Explode came out. I didn't know anything about
Okay,
your
so
band
pretty
before.
recent.
And, so I went back and listened to some of the old stuff, and I was like, yeah, this is totally different night and day from what you did in the first two albums to this current album. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit. And I tell you what, I'm in love with your band right now, the way it is today than it was, let's say, the first when it started out. Give us the direction, kind of what you changed here with the album Beautiful Death. Give us kind of what happened, I guess, a little bit on that.
So, as I mentioned, a few members left our band, and that's when it was just left with me and Johnny. So we we had the freedom to now take the band in whatever direction we wanted to take it in, without people getting mad over creative control or this and that. And Eric Ron, big part of this new album. He was our producer. We've always kind of really wanted to work with him, and he's always wanted to work with us, because he's a very R&B guy. He loves R&B, and so does Johnny. And Johnny has a voice that is, very, it's very R&B like. I don't really know how to explain it,
Right.
but so we wanted to work with Eric, and so we finally did that. That was one of the things that we were kind of trying to do for the first two albums, but it just never happened that way. So we went in with Eric, and we actually at that time had no songs written because we weren't planning on going into the studio at that point. I just had a few pieces of songs here and there, and so me and Eric we were about to do a tour, but we wanted to do a single with Eric before we did the tour and then recorded the album. So we go in before a tour. We had pretty much a weekend to record a single, which was I'd Rather See Your Star Explode. And that was just a little piece of music I had that I showed Eric, and then we just went with it and wrote it all in that weekend in the studio. And so that was the first single that we released, I'd Rather See Your Star Explode. But yeah, just working with Eric. Eric Ron, our producer, it was very easy. He understood he asked us what we wanted to do. He completely agreed with the direction that we wanted to go in, and that album was written in the studio. It was written in a month, each song one by one. So.
Well, I tell you what, the song is very radio friendly. It's also got some great hooks in it, and it did very well too for the first time. It even got on the charts in the top 50, didn't it?
Yeah, man, we're excited about it.
Was that your first top 50 song ever, I guess, on Active Rock Radio?
So. I believe so. Yeah, I think that one was it. That's
So you know what that means then, Colin. You're doing something right.
I hope so.
Well, I tell you what, and that's the cool thing. Sometimes you have to, figure things out, and eventually they will work out. And let me ask you this: we're talking with Colin from the band Slaves. Is there somebody that's kind of helped you along the way? I know you mentioned Eric a lot, but is there other maybe artists out there that have kind of helped you out a little bit?
Well, I always say that I'm always learning. So every time I go on tour, I take little bits and pieces of each band that I look up to, or even bands we're on tour with. If I see them doing something a different way than we're doing it, I always take that into consideration and see if, just try to learn a little bit from everybody. But there's no like certain band that we really kind of took after, or like just really try to emulate.
Right.
We're a band that kind of is forced to create our own path in this industry because with Johnny's history, he's burnt a few bridges in his past that obviously things have been working out better, and we're making those connections again. But with our band's history, we kind of have to pave our own way sometimes. So that's what we did. Like Johnny's paved his own way in the scene from day one. He's been in bands before this, Dance Gavin Dance and Emerald,
Yep.
and he kind of I think is the creator of the style of voice he has, and a lot of people try to emulate him now with his like raspy voice and
Right.
the way he sings. So yeah, it's just kind of been creating our own way, and we're still doing that, man. We're still doing headlining tours because we want to create our own path. And so this year it's been working. This year has been our most successful year, and it's only a quarter of the way through. So
Yeah, and that's awesome. And that is awesome.
Star Explode, talking about that, was just on the NCAA March Madness. They've been featuring our song on there too, so that's cool.
Ah, that's awesome. You know what? Is your bracket busted, by the way?
What do you mean?
I mean, did you get the chance to pick all the games and then you had your winner at the end? And
No, honestly, I don't really follow basketball, so I didn't even know what that was. But one of the guys that works with us in the industry was like, "Yeah, we got this. Check this out, guys." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And then we posted it online. And then it wasn't until I saw all my friends like, "Oh my God, that's awesome! You guys made it! This and that." I was like, "Oh, this seems kind of like a big deal."
it is. It is March Madness. It's
So then I started looking it up, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool, man."
That's awesome. Yeah, you mentioned it. I guess let's give me some history for you. What's growing up as a kid and that? I guess what did you listen to for music? And then what were you in the band? Were you in any activities, anything like that? I guess give us your background.
Well, yeah. So I grew up in like Palm Coast, Florida, a little small town, but there was not much to do around here at all at the time. There still isn't very much to do, but there's a lot more now. But at the time when we were in like middle school, when I was in middle school and everything, that's when a group of my friends, we were just like, we want to play music. Blink-182 was like the hot thing out, and like Green Day, the White Stripes, that was like what we were listening to. So I got a guitar. I think it was like sixth grade, and then my group of friends, we just had a pretty large group of friends that just all created bands. And so all throughout high school, we were the only bands. We were the only thing to do. Like there was nothing to do except go watch the bands that were around. So I just had a good group of friends, and we were in not the band in high school, but we were in a band, a rock band all throughout high school. And I was listening to kind of music that we're playing right now, like these kind of bands for the time being. And then I moved out to California in 2012, and I joined a band called Musical Chairs that was like a very indie band. It was like a Fleetwood Mac type band. And it was a touring band, but it wasn't at the level like Slaves is at. It was kind of like we're playing bars to nobody all around the country, just trying, getting up back from tour and having enough money to like go out to dinner or something like that. Nothing crazy, but that's actually the band that when Johnny moved back to Sacramento, when we became friends, he would always come out and see us play, and I was playing bass for that band. So that's actually how we made the connection of, when Slaves started, he was like, "Hey, I want you to play bass for us." But yeah, I mean, I listened to mostly, before I joined Slaves, I was listening to like, honestly, like very indie music, nothing in the scene, nothing like Slaves. It was honestly, when I joined Slaves, it was me getting back into this type of music.
Awesome.
But, we like Circus Survive is a band that I love. I listen to all the time. Even Dayshell, the band that was just on tour with us.
Very cool.
But yeah,
We're talking with Colin from the band Slaves, the bassist. Of course, their latest album, which is out right now, is called Beautiful Death. Your latest song, at least that we're spinning on our airwaves, is called Patience is a Virtue. Give us the history of that song and what's the meaning behind it for you guys.
The meaning behind that song is like, honestly, what I kind of brushed up on earlier, just like bridges that have been burnt for us due to Johnny's past before Slave was even a band. Just coming back up around and writing this album and knowing that we have good stuff ahead of us, and just being patient and waiting for that to come around and just doing the right thing, trying to be a better person, trying to make everything right, and just really take life. You only live one life, so you want to live it to the fullest. And if we're going to be doing this, if we're going to be out there touring 10 months out of the year, we want to do everything the right way, and and mostly keep everything fun. But it's just about being patient and waiting for our time to shine again.
You mentioned,
and I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, you mentioned touring, Colin, and that, and I know you're going to be getting out on tour here again. Do you have any tours that you can let us know about yet, or is everything under the wraps yet?
The one that I can let you guys know about is Brazil. We're going to be doing Brazil in, I believe, the end of June or early July. And I think it's just like 4 shows out there. But we've never been out there, and we have an ongoing joke with our band that we could post anything. We could post about the color of socks we're wearing, and we'll have at least 4 comments. Come to Brazil, come to Brazil. So it's cool that it's literally an ongoing joke. Like Johnny will post something online, just a selfie or something like that, and I'll even post on his page like, "Come to Brazil, man." So we're glad we're actually going to be able to do that, and we expect the shows to be pretty good. But we do have things lining up. We have some things that are confirmed but not announced yet.
Right.
But there will be a tour announcement coming very soon. I think in the next couple of days, and that'll be towards more towards August. So
Awesome.
keep an eye out for that one too.
All right, that leads into my next question then. I guess if you had to put together a tour that Slaves would go out with, who would you love to go out with? Kind of your ultimate band bill, and you can put 3 other bands on there. Who would be a great?
Okay.
Who would be fun to go out with? I guess, or who would you like to go out with?
I think a great tour for us would be a dream tour for us would be us. I'd throw in Circus Survive on top of us.
Okay.
We'll put 21 Pilots on top of them.
Okay.
And then we'll put 30 Seconds to Mars on top of them.
All right.
I think that'll be a great dream tour for us.
Now, have you had a chance to converse with any of those members of those bands at all ever?
Anthony Green from Circus Survive keeps in touch every once in a while.
Okay.
But, no, none from any of those other bands.
Not yet. Not as of yet, but you're getting there, right?
Yeah, but we're working on that. We're working on that.
Well, I guess what is the future for you guys? What is the next step for you? Where would you like to be? I guess in about maybe a year or two.
In a year, I'd like to be. Well, our last headliner just did better than any of our tours have ever done. We sold out. I think there was only like 4 shows that weren't sold out in the whole month.
Right.
And those shows were like the weird markets like Mississippi or whatever, and all those tickets were like, all those shows were like 14 tickets away, 9 tickets away from selling out. So I would like to, this time next year, be in a lot bigger rooms, maybe playing like 1,500 to 2,000 cap rooms. I just want to, we've been doing a lot of headliners, like I said, paving our own way. I would like to maybe get on like a direct support tour or even be opening for a lot bigger of a tour, like something of the caliber that I mentioned earlier.
Right.
But also in writing a new album and maybe by that time having it done and being ready to release it again. I also think we're in talks of maybe doing an acoustic album pretty soon of fan favorite songs from 3 of our last 3 albums, and so maybe doing an acoustic album and putting that out before we even do anything else.
Well, one thing that we've done here up in Minnesota, at least here in Little Falls, Minnesota, is we're bringing a lot of bands like yourself and that, and not to play maybe a full set, but actually to do an hour acoustic right after work, kind of like, I guess, an afternoon acoustic show. That would be perfect for you guys, I guess, at some point.
We're literally looking to do a bunch of, like, anything cool like that. We kind of just want to break out of the normal, what all the bands do, go on tour, record, go on tour. We kind of want to do stuff like that, maybe do some acoustic radio stations and even colleges. Or I mentioned to our booking agent, I want to do some charity, like maybe put on our own charity show or do some charity shows that, like, for causes that we believe in, for free, just to do some stuff like that and give back to whatever community that cause is for that we believe in. So.
Right, absolutely, and exposure. That's the biggest thing. Meet these fans and make you have to do it kind of one at a time. It just doesn't happen overnight, does it?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Hey, have you ever been to Minnesota before?
I have. It's been a while, but I remember we played there. I forget the venue. But our old drummer was from Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
I'm not exactly sure where, but
Gotcha.
We have been to Minnesota, but it's been a few years, actually.
No, we'll have to get you back up here sometime. We'll let you come in the summer rather than the winter, okay?
Thank you.
Even though I could let you could learn how to walk on water. That'd be ice, of course. But
right.
Hey, give us more information, Colin, about your band, and how can people find out about the band Slaves?
You can check us out on all of our social media platforms. It's on Instagram, it's Slaves Official. On Twitter, it's Slaves Official. Facebook's just Slaves. We're always updating that. We're always keeping everybody updated. We're gonna actually we're working on our YouTube channel. We're really gonna start pushing the YouTube videos, and like I said, maybe if we do that acoustic album, we'll have studio footage and release the songs through YouTube or something like that. So keep an eye out for our YouTube channel, too. That'll be coming up soon.
Awesome.
And we'll let you guys know on all the social media platforms about that.
Yeah, and we're going to make sure you get your butts up here sometime during the summer and do an acoustic show. That'd be cool?
We would literally love that. That'd be awesome.
All right,
Maybe you guys could be our first acoustic show on the radio station, so that'd be cool.
We'll make that happen sometime. We'll do that, okay?
Yeah.
Colin, thanks so much for joining me. I wish you the best of luck, and we're going to play your latest song right now, Patience is the Virtue. Sound okay with that?
Awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Once again, that is Colin. He's the bassist from the band Slaves. Their latest song right now, Spinning on the Dark. It's Patience is the Virtue. It's on the Dark. It's on FM 94.